Next episode of our podcast, Career Journeys Real World, Real Insight. Today, we have the honor of hosting Dr. Johnson Odakkal, a distinguished figure with a multifaceted career spanning Indian Navy, academia, and inspirational coaching. Dr. Johnson Odakkal began his journey as a substitute mathematics teacher at just 16 years of age and later embarked on a remarkable 39 years career in the Indian Navy. That's a huge contribution. He currently serves as faculty in global politics and theory of knowledge at Aditya Birla World Academy, where he imparts his extensive knowledge and mentors young minds. Dr. Odakkal is not only a veteran naval officer, but also an accomplished author, having penned works such as Timeless Wake, The Legacy of Royal Indian Navy in World War II, and numerous articles and papers. His writings offer profound insights into maritime history and its significance. With a PhD in civics and politics, MPhil in maritime operations and international relations, MSc in defense and strategic studies, and MSc in nautical science and technical operations, Dr. Odakkal brings a wealth of expertise to his roles in education and research. As the founder and CEO of Johnson Odakkal Initiatives, Dr. Odakkal is dedicated to empowering students and professionals through personalized coaching and transformative insights, aiming to foster growth and career guidance. Dr. Odakkal is not just confined to academics, he is actively contributing to public discourse through thought leadership and media engagements, sharing expertise in naval history, national security, and many more. The commitment to knowledge exchange is evident through his involvement in planning and conducting seminars, workshops, symposium, where he fosters academic growth in areas such as maritime history, geopolitics, and leadership. As we delve into a conversation, we are eager to hear Dr. Odakkal's thoughts on the armed forces, entry process, and the opportunities that lie ahead. And with this note, we invite our esteemed guest to share his insights and empower our listeners, particularly students, to better understand this domain and the incredible opportunities it offers. With this, I hand over the session to Sir Yu.
Thank you, Ms. Sachi. Really grateful to have this opportunity to share a bit of my journey and insights. I will straight away share the screen. And what I intend to talk through, we do put very appropriately careers in the armed forces. And yet, when I was just putting the presentation together, I just slightly tweaked it to say a call to serve. And it's always saying the life in armed forces is not a career, but a calling. And my focus within that is going to be extensively on the Indian Navy. And that's why I've given the subtitle as Blue Waters and Bright Futures. That's where we will progress towards. And I would like to launch to say that the Indian Armed Forces, it's not just on 26th of January each year when Rajpath comes alive with the might and pageantry and precision of what is the armed forces, but it is ubiquitous, it is always present, even when we don't realize. In fact, it is good when we don't realize the armed forces are present. That means the job is being well done. They always say no news is good news. And if that is happening quietly when others are celebrating and those within the military are doing the job, then the nation is well handled. Allow me to share a clip which the Indian Navy released on Navy Day last year. And I hope this should run. We did test it, so Okay. If it doesn't,
Yeah, it's there.
just a moment, I'll just stop sharing and reshare.
In the meanwhile, audience can share the questions in the chat box. We can take them towards the end of the session.
What I'll do is I'll put the clip in a while. I thought it was quite inspirational, but I will just for a minute just stop sharing. And it happens. Technology has this amazing ability to well, we'll go ahead. It's okay. I'll come back to the clip and I'll kind of share that. The Indian Navy, specifically, as I said, I'm going to focus, is a world of opportunities. And rarely would you find career options, or as I said, a calling options, where, and I've just picked up four broad categories, which if I, except for the last one, if I didn't use the term military, then they could be as much as a corporate. So within the Navy, you have opportunities to excel in engineering of many kinds, from ocean engineering in construction to operating nearly 6,000-ton gas turbines and many other high technology equipment that requires one to be skilled. One would be fascinated at the role that the Indian Navy and its associated medical personnel have provided in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief around the world. So through medicine also you could be a part. What would something do without logistics? So you have an entire field and cadre of logistics. Silently, if one would realize, when I use the word engineering, it's quite common in the Indian Navy. I've subsumed what we have separate branches for information technology, for electrical work, and many other fields which come. But all of these finally go and serve the segment of combat. So it's an amazing diversity of opportunity. I want to talk about the opportunity in a very unique manner. And that's from my next clip. The gentleman, or rather very accomplished senior officer on the right of the screen and in the center, is none other than my course mate. He is Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan. On 1st of May, he took over as Vice Chief of the Naval Staff. And why I have flashed this image in front of you all is because he began as the son of a teacher in a Sainik school from a very ordinary background in interior Karnataka. And then he went on to study in Sainik school, Bijapur. He is one of our postmates we feel so proud about, a distinguished alumnus. He himself holds a PhD in civics and politics. He's a specialist in communications and information technology and electronic warfare. He has various feats to his credit. He's got degrees from US, from UK, a very dear friends, and we are so proud to see him as the vice chief. So I have been part of the services selection board. This is an amazing story. I've had people, somebody whose father was literally a guard at an ATM. That was his background, and the person joined the military. You could have other people from royal family joining. The military is no differentiator of your background and personal. It is just to say, if you have it, you can have success. So that's where I wanted to begin. And now let's come to probably the directions that people would have and questions. So with that, what are the educational pathways if I want to join the Indian Armed Forces? So some things you'll find I'll keep switching between the Indian Armed Forces in general and the Indian Navy in particular. So whether we like it or not, and I was just having a conversation with Sachi before starting, generally for career choices in India, by about grade 8, one should start getting a leaning towards what one is inclined. Now, it doesn't mean that I cannot decide a career change like I did at the age of 57. I decided to go back to teaching. Currently, I am a teacher. I will talk about my other journeys. But it makes a lot of sense, though. If you decide by about 8, it gives you subject choice options in ninth, that gives clarity in grade 10th, and you can take your stream in 11th. So I have kind of gone by that pathway. So whether we like it or not, if you really want to join the military, the size of the 3 boxes says it all. The best chance one has is to take sciences as a stream, which means after grade 10. So I am preparing through my 9th and 10th. The ideal world involves a combination of physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Obviously, you can take computer sciences and others. There are some options if you have taken commerce as a background and I continue and specialize in management, I can join the logistics cadre. And very few cadres across the entire armed forces have an opportunity. And we have a very illustrious ocean sailor called Commander Vijaya. She's an English postgraduate, and she's also in the Navy. So we have a few things like they join the education and the teaching cadre. So humanities also has an option. But if you really want to take a big swing at the armed forces, sciences is your option to go. And that will become clear. And where do you go? If you are coming after grade 12th, you've taken in 11th, then the 2 places that one can join is the National Defense Academy, which is a tri-services academy. You do a 3 years of special graduation, and they are encouraging people to take the JEE. And then you have the Indian Naval Academy, which has a 4 years BTech program. Imagine being able to do an engineering degree paid for by the government, and you get a job at the end of it. Okay. And those who do NDA, when they join the Navy, they come for the final year, 1 year of training at INA. And after 4 years, they are all aligned together. So the Indian Navy is a little distinct, and we are very proud of, we always in the military have been proud of the National Defense Academy at Khadakwasla, but even the Naval Academy is an amazing location, the best training with an engineering degree at the end of it, regardless of the cadre that we are coming to. Now, one may not have made a call by grade 11 and 12. In my case, there were circumstances my parents were not too inclined at that stage, but my father himself was the most encouraging person later for me to join. So if you have gone, you have to take a subject stream after grade 12. So my advice, if you are interested to join the military, again, if I take proportion of or probability factor, the ideal is go and do an engineering degree. It doesn't matter which field it is. You are most likely to fit into one of the cadres. But even if one has not done an engineering degree and you have a regular sciences background or an IT or a computer science, that also works. And like before, we have a few streams available for logistics, for catering, for certain other streams, purely from humanities and management side. Where do you go? The Indian Naval Academy is still there for those who join after graduation. In case of the Air Force, after NDA or direct those who join, they go to the Air Force Academy. That's the image in the center. Then a very prestigious institution called the Indian Military Academy on top right in Dehradun. The original Joint Services Wing was there. And the Army has a 2 officer training academy in Gaya and in Chennai. They also people can join. And in this, I must also put a context. If you've already started college and you're doing an undergrad degree, it is well advisable if you have the opportunity to join the National Cadet Corps. NCC is being expanded. The benefit is without joining the military, you get a lot of environment of the armed forces, and that can be an amazing learning curve. And there are a few streams of selection that give you benefit of having been part of the NCC. So those are some nuances on the subject streams, both uh, at the junior college or the 11th, 12th level, or if you're taking the undergrad. Now, I'm not saying that they are the only possibilities, but the other ones are very few and far between. So with that, let's just come to subjects. So again, as I said, I am currently involved in teaching humanities, so I'm not saying, but I love, by the way, physics and maths. So if you are in school and you want to develop skill sets for joining the military, then these are your 5 areas. Now I'll come to the 5th one in a while. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, communication skills. The military, like every other sector, is becoming a very technologically enabled and a very scientifically developed world. So it is important to have your basics in these clear. The first 3 of them, along with English language skills, forms part of the NDA entrance exam and also for various other selections. So physics, chemistry, maths comes. Communication skills, written and oral, is, I will be repeating that in a while when I talk about various factors. And why did I pour in ethics? Because we have been seeing a deterioration of ethics in society and morals. And if that is a challenge, you can be assured that one would never join the military. One of the things, sometimes artificially high is what others may call it, but the standards of example and conduct are expected to be at the highest levels. So one doesn't have to study ethics as a subject, but it has to be as a part of one. So this is in terms of, just in terms of the subject, or I should be, and why I titled as early decision. The earlier you are clear in your mind you want to join the military and you're very intentional, then the journey becomes very systematic. Again, as I don't take my personal example, I had a very different journey. I share it when I talk one-on-one. But this is the regular and normal phase. So what is it that I need to have to join the armed forces? So the question is, do you have it in you? And it began in the 1950s. And even today, when we select a person to join the Indian Armed Forces, this is the philosophy of selection. And it's a very Indian concept called Mansa Vacha Karma, which is not complicated. It's very simple. What I think, what I say, and what I do are in alignment. Okay. What I think, what I say, and what I do are in alignment. In my thinking reflects what is stored in my mind, my knowledge, my intellect, everything. In my speaking is power of expression and clarity, because without communication, we cannot do that. What I do is obviously it's a calling, it's an area of development that requires action. So the assessment, and here I'm focused down to officer selection, is the different people involved in the selection, the interviewing officer, the group testing officer, the psychologist, they assess that is this candidate suitable for the military by their Mansa Vacha Karma. So that is something that is it. Now I'm going to complicate it for just a minute. So please bear with me that I'm going to talk about 4 factors with 15 attributes in this next slide. Now this is a very crowded slide, but these are the 15 things that are being evaluated whenever somebody is joining. The group testing officer, the psychologist, and the interviewing officer. The psychologist is through psychometric tests and through specific event picture assessment, TAT, they are assessing in your past, is there something that reveals, are you suitable or do you have challenges in any of these? The group testing officer is watching you as you are today. using the Gestalt principle with others. How do you operate in a team and this thing? And the interviewing officer is a very trained officer. I have done the training and been part of services, who's able to assess 20 years, 30 years from now, would you fit and continue to remain suitable to the Indian Armed Forces? So these are many things. I'm not going to expand on these. You find them online, SSB Crack and other places, they'll give explanations. I have converted these 15 factors into a few takeaways that are suitable to you. So you can disregard this, and I intentionally, this is not to confuse you, but to say, yes, in those 40 minutes, they assess all of these 15 factors. Okay. Before I go ahead, since I talked about services selection board, how many of us really believe that failure is an indicator of, amazing things? So if I say failure stories, that means these two people I'm going to show you did not qualify services selection board. And the first is this gentleman. He appeared at the services selection board, Amitabh Bachchan, and did not qualify. Now, would we call him a failure or a success? I leave it to you. Right? We call him the big B, but did not qualify services selection. The second will blow your mind. Amitabh Bachchan, we can say, okay, even when before he became an actor, he went to be a radio jockey and he was rejected for his voice. I mean, the man who has an amazing voice was rejected for his voice. And the whole story of South Hindustan. But the second person, APJ Abdul Kalam, failed to clear services selection board. In fact, when he finished services selection board, he went and met his mentor, and all he wanted to do was become a fighter pilot. And then his mentor, a Swami, actually guided him and engaged him. He went on to become India's missile man. And as the president, he became the supreme commander and head of the military forces. Now, what are you going to call a success or failure? So one of the reasons we always tell these two stories is, do not think success in SSB is a definition of success for you. Like I shared in the previous slide, we are looking for specific attributes. If you have those attributes, you are likely to do well in the military. If you don't, you'll probably do well somewhere else. It is just that as a factor. So it's fine. There are stories of people having appeared at SSB 15 times, clearing it the 16th time. I mean, we don't have to follow that. I've been fortunate. I cleared first time. Many people clear first time, but we don't keep score like that. So let's come to the real story is that there are behavioral essentials and there is an alignment in real life. What do I mean by that? What makes me suitable for being part of the military is, do I have the following? And let's look at each of them. In the behavioral essentials, what a person must have is mental agility. What it means is that, can I think and adapt to developing situations? Because that's the life in the armed forces. You cannot predict situations. This is not a standard assembly line production. You do not know what the enemy will throw at you. So the essential behavior we are looking is mental agility. The second is emotional resilience. Can the candidate handle stress and have their stories of rebounding from setbacks, not artificially created stories? Oh, by the way, the people tell there are a lot of training systems for people to join military, and the people at the services selection can make out a person who has done the training, because we all have patterns and that sort of thing. So we look at genuine stories of rebounding from success, and the person must show leadership by example. The group testing officer watches them and also looks at other opportunities that makes it possible. How does this align in real life? And that is high standards of professionalism. I started with physics, chemistry, maths, and communication. That means we look to excel. We do not want Einsteins or scientific geniuses. but we want people with a reasoning ability and organizing their intelligence. So that's called high degree of professionalism. Also an ability to collaborate with diverse teams. You don't get to choose your shipmates. You'll be assigned to a platoon, to a ship, and we have to work with the people who are our shipmates. And the third alignment is accountability to our actions in real life. So this is what we are looking for. Instead of that complicated big chart with 15 attributes and 4 factors, I think these 6 are probably more easier to take away. And so the next question comes, how do I develop these qualities? So I want to join the military. I want to develop these qualities. What can I do? Okay. So normally we say in psychology, past behavior is a prediction of future conduct. So people say personality doesn't change, but of late psychologists are evolving. There are circumstances that can evolve training. We also look at trainability, but we can build certain traits better. That's what is the focus. If I want to join the military, these are 5 suggestions that I have for the students who are interested. Engage in structured learning and experiences. So we can choose to take part in activities that help us problem solving, a robotics competition, engaging in a model United Nations, where decision-making skill comes, strategic games, engaging in real debates, constructing something, basically something that will operate our head into both structure and new experiences. The more we do, the more, and we have stories to tell. It's not just memorizing 5 chapters and reproducing in the exam. A clear experience that will enable problem solving and decision making. Number 2, a focus on both physical and mental fitness. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to run 40 kilometers every day and do 100 push-ups. No, we are not looking at Mr. Universe or Miss Universe. We are not looking at that. We are looking at someone who has a clear inclination to take regular physical activity, build stamina, manage stress management, be able to handle trauma. And in that manner, some people require help, some people have it in them. So this is another area where it can be developed. And third is take up leadership opportunities. The easiest thing they say, they say sometimes in the military also, never volunteer. You will get the job. Okay. What we say is, please volunteer. Okay. When you have an opportunity, take leadership opportunity in different settings. It could be a school club. It could be a volunteer organization. Because the more you take part, the more you get a chance to develop your leadership skills. Fourth, seek mentorship and feedback. Like you have joined this session, there are people who have traveled the journey earlier. I will pick this up maybe if I remember when I do my closing story. But I remember asking so many people, do you think I'll fit well in the military? What are some of the things that I should focus? And I remember those stories and those interactions with great fondness. Okay. And get feedback on things that we do. Lastly, adopt a practice of reflection. One is self-reflection. Look at my mentor, Dr. John Maxwell says, whenever an activity gets over, you ask what went well, what didn't go well, how can I do better next time? The more we get into this feedback loop, we'll be able to set achievable goals for personal development. Now, one thing we realize, this has got not necessarily with the military. These 5 are useful for any development. But the armed forces, it becomes a very clear guideline towards developing what we have on the table. Now, if you do all this and you get selected, I think I must show what is likely to happen. Okay, what will be the growth story when someone joins? So the growth path starts with initial and basic training. Very painful. There are instructors who are trained to make life miserable. Okay, your sleep are gone. You have a lot to study. You have a lot to physical. You do a small infraction and you get heavy duty punishment. It's a very challenge. But when you succeed, it's such a joy to put those pips or those stars. It's a very, very proud moment. So that's the initial and basic training. Then we go to consolidation. We do a flying, we do a attachment to the infantry units. You get independent, you make mistakes, you get kicked by the commanding officer and you correct and you come back and do it again. Okay, this is that initial days of consolidation. It kind of progresses towards um, uh, independent assignment and things basically we're practicing for even a junior level command position. Then we specialize in something. You could specialize to be a commando or in navigation or in telecommunications or in missile warfare and gunnery, because everyone cannot do everything. So then at about 7, 8 years service, you specialize in a certain field. You also go for your command training. And then you get a junior command with not many people under you. But the first command you never forget. I remember my first command, and I was halfway into my command, and Parakram happened, the attack on the Indian Parliament. And I was commanding a small ship, hardly any size. If some serious ship came and hit, we would probably sink. We were that small. But we were the first who were ordered to go out on patrol. And that was live. We had issued live ammunition. We had to investigate certain ships and other things. And when you're doing that, you don't know who's going to fire at you. And I won't share more, but that was my near death experience. Handling that and being able to. So my students keep asking, sir, how many people have you killed? I said, unfortunately, I will have to do something to you if I tell you stories. I just kind of, bypass the story. Yeah. The military is not a fun area. It's an area of genuine application of violence for political needs. It's like law enforcement. You don't like to do it, but when the time comes, you will have to press the trigger. And the pressing the trigger means you are actually killing someone. Okay, it's not an easy decision. And that's why it's a tough training. But you will not back up. You will not hesitate a microsecond. Otherwise, you are the one who will get killed. So that's kind of, so that's a mid. And I remember that command, when you do that, you come back and you are just grateful to God first for being alive. And then you're just thankful that you got an opportunity to serve. So that was my command. I always relish it. It was New Year's Eve at sea in a patrol operation. So that's how this thing. And then when you grow, the people think they join the military to stop studying. I have bad news for such people who are joining the military to stop studying. I have studied more at the age of 45 than I studied in my school, because we were doing our masters, and you have the military specializes in giving you both academic and technical teaching. This is the Naval Higher Command course. I am a PhD guide with the Naval War College. I oversee I'm one of the faculties for research. And we go, and they cry. Colonels at the age of 40 and captain rank cry at the amount of assignments. So, but it's for a higher purpose. So you go towards academic. And then the ultimate is you go through higher learning. And this is the new Chief of Naval Staff on 1st of May, Admiral Dinesh Tripathi. I can afford to say a dear friend, okay, because he's been my senior. He recently took over the Chief of Nation. This is the ultimate. This is out of the entire batch, in 3 years, one person will become. But for the others, see, if you don't become, my friend, I told Vice Chief, I managed to reach the rank of Commodore. So it's an amazing growth journey. But I'm not going to stop at that. So that's me in the left in my last year of service. And the image on the right is when I was walking out on the day of my retirement. And in 3 minutes, if I can tell you my story, I've already told you my story of my first command. 10 years before my first command, I was a young lieutenant, inexperienced greenhorn, and I was leading 3 ships for navigation. My first plan was taking them through a danger. And someone gave me the firing that I can never forget in my life. But then I learned how it is important to check your work. And I went on to become a very senior navigator. I'm very proud to be a navigator in that. I did my higher command. I been part of various operations. And I'm going to tell this very quick story. You know, people ask you, what do you wish in life? Name 3 dream places that you would want to visit. So someone does this exercise in 2007, and I wrote down, I want to go to Hawaii, I want to go to Switzerland, and I want to stand at the same time on the Eastern and Western hemisphere. I have no clue why did I say all of that. Later, I realized what nonsense was I speaking. But here is the amazing part. The Indian Navy sent me to Hawaii to the US Pacific Command as part of a delegation. I spent 5 days over there in an exercise with the US military, and we stayed at the Hilton, Hawaii. That's as big as you can get. The Navy fulfilled that. I went for as a head of a team for trials of a tanker being built in Genoa in Italy. And on completion of the assignment, we were given 2 weeks leave. So guess where I went? Went to Switzerland. And that only happened because of the assignment. I was given a job to write a book about the role of the Royal Indian Navy in World War. And for my additional assignments, I managed to travel to London to the Greenwich Naval Observatory. And at Greenwich, the prime meridian, there is a brass line, which is a 0 meridian. So if you stand with your feet on either side, you are in the Western hemisphere and the Eastern hemisphere at the time. So I always tell this not to make people jealous, but you will be surprised at what dreams can be fulfilled in the military. People have gone to become polo players, Olympic medalists. My friend Abhilash told me, Dilip Donde, they have circumnavigated the world, one of them twice, sailing, mountain climbing, writing stories. I finished my PhD while I was in the Navy. I became an author. I've authored 2 books, all courtesy this journey. It is an unbelievable journey. So I think this might work. Wow.
Our next story is from the Indian Ocean. The Indian Navy has proved itself yet again here. They conducted a daring anti-piracy operation, an operation that lasted 40 hours. The target was a ship captured by Somali pirates. A Maltese-flagged bulk cargo vessel called the MV Ruin. The ship was captured by Somali pirates back in December. For months, they were holding the crew hostage until Saturday. That's when the Indian Navy sprung into action. They rescued the crew and captured 35 pirates. The pirates are now being brought to India, where justice will be dispensed. Here's our report.
The Indian Navy has pulled off a daring rescue. It has reiterated its position as guardian of the Indian Ocean. This weekend, the Navy saved the lives of 17 people. 17 people who had been captured by a horde of Somali pirates. It was a daring rescue. It took 40 hours. And a little
I'm going to pause the story. You can kind of
help
watch it.
from the Indian Air. Pirates had captured
Sorry,
this ship.
I'm going to pause it and move ahead. So if we have pause, I'm going to open the floor up to questions. And while that is being done, let me just see if I can get the other slide back. But Sachiji, I'm done. I hope it has been useful.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your journey. It's truly inspiring and all the points have been covered. But we have a question from Navya. Navya, are you there? You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes. Hi Johnson sir, how are you?
Good. Nice to hear from you. Tell me.
Yes. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned about NDA and INA being the paths. What really happens if you could just talk in detail, let's say if a student has been on a journey, completing a normal bachelor's, what does the route look like? And, could you tell us more about what does the training look like at NDA and INA?
So I'm probably, if I hear right, is if you're talking of student pursuing bachelor's, if they're still in the first year, it's no major loss. If they have physics, chemistry, PCM as a subject, they can still appear for the UPSC-based NDA entrance test or the INA. And in the Navy and the Air Force, they recommend that you should have also appeared at the JEE. Even if the score is not high, the fact is your score does matter. When they come to join the NDA, we jokingly call the bachelors with 27 subjects, including horse riding and carpentry. We just to say that, we do a lot of activities. And in the Indian Navy, at the Indian Naval Academy, they do a BTech program, which is in 3 streams: mechanical, electrical, and electronics. And then they divide them into streams. However, if a person has not joined after 12th and they're pursuing the undergrad degree, the best option is having an engineering degree. Now, if you do not have an engineering degree, you have 2 options. If you can go and do masters and you can join the education cadre, the Army Education Service or the Navy and the Air Force accordingly, or in the Air Force, you have the administrative cadres, or if you have a management degree and you manage to get an MBA, then you can join the logistics. So there is a bit of a streaming down that happens. The ideal world is 12th with PCM, but these are some other options. I hope that helps, Navya.
That definitely does help. But what about students, let's say, who've taken up commerce? I know you did mention there are careers in commerce also, but since you also mentioned that PCM is required, but maybe somebody who's just interested in the field of commerce but wants to contribute in the Navy.
So commerce, I would advise them to do their masters or their MBA, which means they're already on a track to do management. And we have a logistics cadre. And by the way, logistics is not a secondary arm. It's very major. There's a whole field called operational logistics, and you get to do very vital in today's role. So that becomes an obvious option. Other options become a bit restricted if you have gone into that stream. So logistics cadre across all 3 armed forces is available.
Okay. And they wouldn't have to go through any formal training like the NDIN or any
No,
other.
they will still do. They will have to
Okay.
appear at what is
Some technology issues, so we'll come back. In the meanwhile, if we
so the
have
best is between employment news and in the individual websites it comes.
so your screen got paused for a moment. Could you repeat again? It was
I said for the undergrads, you will have to look out in either the employment news or the individual websites, and now in papers it comes. And specifically look out for the logistics. Typically, all the 3 armed forces, their individual websites also have. Like in the Navy, it's joinindiannavy.nic.in is a site which periodically gives. So people, even pure humanities, have a field called the education cadre. As I said, but the number of vacancies are going to be very few.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Navya, for asking that question. If there are more questions, we can take them up right now. Anyone?
By the time that is coming up, let me kind of play this. Yeah, no, you go ahead. I'm just saying that for some reason this became operational is hardly a minute-long clip.
चलमेव यस्य बलमेव तस्य
I thought that should inspire.
That was a very beautiful sharing of the life in the Navy. Thank you for sharing. I have a question, if
Sure.
ask. So beyond military services, what are some civilian career paths that individuals who are there in the armed forces and have experience can pursue?
You're talking of after serving in the military?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, that's an amazing. Now, one of the good things is whether it is the below officer rank people who have been in the sailor and now, of course, now it's getting even wider because you have the Agniveer who just spent 4 years. You have others who would have spent about 15 years. So typically we have a Directorate General of Resettlements, and they ensure in their last year of service, they do some skill building trainings, and that will help them to join service life. Unfortunately, India's one, we don't have a big strength of supporting veterans like some other countries, but we are getting better at it. In case of officers, those who are short service commissioned have spent 14 years, they would be probably around mid-30s, mid or late 30s. They typically get doing opportunity to do something like executive MBA program of 24 weeks at the IIMs, or if they are in the technical cadre, they have already the engineering degree, then they do those transition programs and they are able to join. If you are senior, the common concept used to be Fauji hai, security mein dalo, admin mein dalo, which is a very suboptimal utilization of the skill sets. I am one of those rare ones who decided about in my 10, 12 years before leaving, if where the day I retire, I'm going to go into academics and research. I'm very lucky. And that too, some people call me crazy to go and teach. I have been teaching grade 8 to 12, and I have fun in class. It's so wonderful to sit with them. And, of course, at heart, I'm a teacher, but I'm just saying all options are there. People have gone on and become successful business people, coaches, entrepreneurs. I mean, everything is possible. They are well trained and well adaptable. So it's great. And some companies do take pride in hiring people who have been in the military. So it's a very complex field, but it works.
Thank you for sharing that. We have one more question from Aryan.
Sachi, this is Sangamitra here with Aryan.
I'm so sorry, I couldn't see you. Please ask.
First of all, a lot of gratitude, sir. It has been a real nice session, and I purposefully found this time because I really didn't want to miss out this session for my kid. And my kid is in class 10 right now. My question to you, sir, is as a parent, what should be our support system to the kid in case they're wanting to prepare for NDA? Or maybe the coaching classes, the mental agility, how do we prepare them, the leadership. So as a parent, how do I support my kid in the whole preparation process?
That's a very good and apt question, and I have parents reaching out to me. They do. So I would say there are 2 or 3 levels of preparation that are possible. A very common flippant way would be says, let the kid be as they are, and if they are suitable, they'll make it. Why am I saying this? Because you'll hear this a lot. Okay, saying give them the opportunity if they have the traits. But I don't necessarily support that view. What we are saying is why it's captured into those 5 points that I mentioned about training. As long as you already have in the career guidance industry the concept of profile building. That means we give opportunity to children to do various activities. The key is not just activities. Key is at which stage do we have to stop being like a helicopter and hover of them, and we are saying at some stage, bache, ye to aapko karna hai. That means they are able to plan for it and do it. That transition we sometimes have to facilitate. We have to enable them to have failures and just build the robustness to handle failures. Like if somebody else won a close competition, then our support system is, it is fine. You still gain the opportunity. So a mix of providing opportunity, promoting general awareness, and I'm not saying shut down digital. I know that's very popular today to say, but channelizing even digital information instead of just watching, binging, we can probably utilize digital to create certain space. Like AI is going to be a big thing. Do I use it the right way? So there are many possible answers. One of the things that I engage with, I'm just going to just share this and I engage in a program called Find Your Voice. That's we do. We say every every child is on a voyage, and we as parents, teachers, and the community, our responsibility is to help them find that path, help them see what it is. Specifically, I think I shared my 5 points. What we can do is we can provide the opportunity, but not push beyond a level where a person not suitable is pushed into. It's like if they are skilled artisans, it would be criminal to take them and make them learn probably physics or something. We need to get that clarity. But if they are aligned towards the military and we also feel, then we can provide these opportunities. Specifics, a lot can be done that we can always share on a further session or one-on-one. Many opportunities are there. But I think if we just be facilitators, then they will definitely find the path and work on it. I hope that helps.
Thank you, sir. I have a follow-up question? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so just a quick understanding. Should they actually prepare for NDA post 12th or complete engineering and prepare for CDS after engineering?
All options work. If the best part is, if they are clear about what they're doing, then like preparing for any engineering today, actually the NDA INA has become a similar preparation because they are both encouraging JEE scores. So it's no different than any other engineering preparation. If you're preparing for IIT or the entrance tests, even if one didn't choose to go to the NDA and you do an engineering degree, because it's a technical world, concurrent with learning engineering, we can prepare ourselves as a person. That means we get opportunities, you have fests coming, you have competitions, you can take care of your eyesight. Many streams require very stringent eyesight. Take care of your general health, see that junk food is reduced. I'm saying the general, it's a
Yes.
long stage. If we take care of ourselves, then one of the good things is certain engineering colleges have a university entrance team. What it does is that they come in the 5th semester, and in the 6th semester, there's a selection process. And about a year before, you get to know that you're going to join a particular armed force. And the benefit is that it's like a placement letter in your hand. You finish engineering and you join the military. Now, these schemes come and go. So you have to see what is currently available. But many engineering colleges do have an understanding and they facilitate opportunities. So both opportunities kind of work. So if initially it's great, but if that's missed out and you're doing a higher education undergrad degree, preparation continues in the same manner. The core attributes remain the same. It's just that the system changes to CDS based or directly into the individual armed forces.
Great clarity, sir. Thank you so much. And any suggestion for where and how to prepare for NDA?
I am, since I've been part of SSB, I don't stop people from going to a coaching institute, but you should be very clear. If the coaching institute tunes the child to a templated answer, it becomes very evident at the services selection board. So if the student is already there, so we say do it, but we would have mentoring. That's why I don't, but I know a lot of people from the military run training programs. I don't specifically recommend any particular one of them. My whole preparation is more of conversations and tuning people based on that. And that's not just related to the military. I do this career guidance and profile building across careers, not just to the military. But given some time later, I might make something specific. Probably not for everyone, but now that NDA has opened its doors to women, probably, helping them to join, something like that. Right now, I'm not working on a program, so I'm not in a position to recommend a particular program, but we can always have planned sessions for mentoring.
Sure. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Sachi, for organizing this wonderful session.